Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4! And today spawning in on the east side of the map playing in red. We've got ranked opponent playing as the Knights Templar. And battling against them today spawning in on the west side of the map playing in blue. We've got May playing as the Delhi Sultanate. Welcome everyone to Dry Arabia. As always, hope you're all having a great morning, good afternoon or good evening. And this is going to be an interesting one. We've got Knights Templar versus the Delhi. Two civilizations that like to go for the sacred sites for very different reasons. Well, I say very different reasons, but similar reasons. Of course, the Knights Templar have access to pilgrims that look to get gold with their safe passages to the sacred sites. The Delhi Sultanate, on the other hand, really kind of like to get those scholars nice and early on the sacred sites, capture them, get gold that way. So we could see a lot of mid-map objective kind of pressure for both players. Now, the base-wise, locations and the split up of the resources are a little bit awkward for the Knights Templar. The gold is in a forward position. There's a big opening here on the left side that could be attacked. On the side of the Delhi, bearers and gold relatively at the back, although still accessible through a bit of a push around the right side of this wood line. I suspect that's where the aggression is going to come in from, which is going to be interesting because Knights Templar are a civilization, of course, one of the new civilizations for the Knights of Cross and Rose DLC, and there's lots to be figured out. We've seen a lot of players go for second town centres just because of how fast it is. You get a second town centre incredibly quickly, but going second town centre against the Delhi Sultanate could be a problem because this civilization ramps out production of units very, very quickly, and they can secure the sacred sites if there's any delay in the opponent getting units out. It's going to be the Kingdom of France for the Knights Templar, giving them military units which are produced 15% faster, costing 5% less gold. Also gives them access to the Chevalier, which I suspect we'll see nice and early. Now, conceptually, this matchup's kind of interesting because you've got the Chevalier that's going to be coming out soon, I suspect, from Beasty. And then you've got the Ghazi Raiders, which have a +2 bonus damage against heavy units, which could be quite nice for the Delhi to use. They've got a faster movement speed, of course, by being a type of horseman. And the Ghazi Raiders can always come back and heal with the scholars that the Delhi no doubt produce, which will be from the Dome of the Faith landmark. And from then on, you have to wonder who's going to blink first, who's going to go for spearmen first. If it's the Delhi, which is going to be a nice transition towards, then it would force the Knights Templar into possibly archers, which then becomes a bit of a problem because of the longevity and scaling of that unit. Against the Delhi, it doesn't often do very well, considering there's going to be potentially elephants on the menu from May. Either way, lots to be unpacked, lots to be discovered in this matchup. And either way, I would like to say a very big thank you for everyone who's been supporting the channel. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Special shout out, of course, to the YouTube channel members and the Twitch subscribers. And if you haven't already, if you've been enjoying the content on the channel, you've watched a couple of casts recently, and you thought, well, you know, I'll be back for more, then make sure that you are subscribed. More importantly, hit the notification bell, because then hitting the notification bell, what it does, gives you a bit of a ding-dong. I do upload the next video, which at the moment is going to be roughly daily, but speaking of which, I might have a bit of a break again, I'm afraid. We'll be going abroad with the family for a couple of weeks. It's been a long time since we've travelled. And, well, it means it's going to be difficult to get casted content out of there. I mean, I might get a workaround. I might take my laptop and maybe get a microphone that's semi-decent. It won't be the same setup as we have today, of course. But at least it'll be something better than nothing. But then again as well, it'll have to be in 1080p content. So I'm kind of curious to see, actually, how many of you guys watch in 1080p only? Or do you guys go beyond that? Let me know in the comment section below, actually. Type of 1 if you watch in 1080p only. Type of 2 if it's above that, say like 4K or anything like that, kind of any resolution that's higher than 1080p. Kind of curious to see. I suspect most people just watch in 1080p, so I suspect that won't be too much of a decline in terms of quality of content that most people experience. But we'll see. I've not fully decided. I've been starting to do some versus series of units, so some units versus others, mostly as YouTube shorts, but I will be uploading longer videos, and that doesn't need a microphone anyway, so it just needs a laptop really. Maybe I'll focus on that for a few weeks. Either way, there is the stable. There's a Chevalier. Going to be coming out soon for the Knights Templar. Got the stable for the Delhi Sultanate that is now producing Ghazi Raiders. And just a couple of hints and tips if you're new to the game. Getting a scholar inside the production buildings for the Delhi Sultanate increases the rate of production. So he's effectively producing from, well, equivalent of double stables here. Interestingly enough, it's going to be a second stable for the Knights Templar as well. So definitely a heavy kind of investment into feudal age. It's not too surprising. Of course, these two civilizations do like, or at least the Delhi, we can say for sure, they do like a long feudal age. Looks like the Knights Templar are going to be looking to match that. Guys ready? Should be up to, well, I think the Pilgrim deposits the gold here, I'm afraid, for the Delhi, so the gold will come in for Beasty. Interesting, go for some early farms. We'll make a bit of a smoother transition, adding them in slowly but surely. It can be tricky for both players to think about going for deer camps, right? Because there's so many units on the field. You move villagers out, it's very risky. As Beasty does look to harass as well, causing a bit of idle time on the berry pickers. Gotta say, I love the skins for the Knights Templar. Purposefully chosen to be in red today. Certainly a colour that suits the civilization. Pushing the villagers away. The Guards Raiders will back off though. Can't really commit too much. Charge comes out from the Chevalier. I suspect May will make a run for it though. Look to heal this one up. As long as he can get away. Might be cut off by these ones though. See if Beasty spots that and is able to chase that down. Be a nice bit of a pick off if he can. Yeah, he might just. Yeah, Beasty will. Oh, the charge came off on the other one. And May just about gets away with that. Here come the scholars to heal on up. And with the defender's advantage here, May will definitely take a better fight if Beasty does decide to engage. I don't think he will. Well, it looks like he will, actually. I don't think it's a fight that he can win, really. Especially as more of these guys' raiders are popping out. He will lose one Chevalier there if he's not careful. Or he just about gets away there, Beast. Oh, no, he doesn't. Okay. Yeah, of course, the extra movement speed with the Ghazi Raiders worked in his favour. That's one thing to note. The movement speed is really, really important in these particular matchups. Especially at this level of gameplay. It's going to be a bit of a yo-yo approach here. The great thing for May is that he can always run away with his Ghazis, right? He never has to sort of hard commit. Whereas Beasty's units could get caught out at times. Well, there is a transition to a barracks there for May. So looking to get some spearmen, getting the upgrade for it. That's potentially going to be forcing Beasty into an archery range. Has he actually gone for it just yet? I don't think he knows about the spearmen. May's done well to keep that hidden so far, I think. You're at the 8-minute mark, and that's when the Delhi typically get out on the map to get the sacred sites, and that's exactly what he's doing, healing on up too. Similar mechanics from both civilizations, because the Knights Templar can actually heal on the sacred sites too. May paying attention there. Manages to survive with that Guards Raid. I'll tell you what can't escape though is that Scholar. It's quite likely Beasty's going to try and snipe it down. He might lose a Chevalier doing so though. Maybe he's going to... Yeah, he'll be okay. He'll get the Scholar in the end, I think. The Spearman picks off a Chevalier, so not a bad trade-off there for May, really. Although it does delay the capping of the sacred site somewhat. Down in the south, we'll be losing another Scholar. And there is the archery range. Now that he sees the Spearman, so good reactions from Beasty. But we kind of expected this to be the way, right? Now conceptually, where does it go from here in the Castle Age? How does Beasty deal with the elephants? And I would say it's an interesting choice he went for the French side of things in terms of upgrades, because I feel like sergeants could do pretty well against elephants. Not a unit that I know that Beasty doesn't seem to particularly prefer them, but it's a melee unit with a ranged type, with a melee attack, but the melee attack has got a range to it, so it's kind of a weird one, but it avoids the elephant stamping on them, right? Which is a big deal. Looks like Beasty going to try and get a wrap around on this left side just to see if he can find any villagers. There are some berry pickers there. Speaking of raiding, Gaz is going right on top of the wood line. Picks off 2 villagers, possibly a third. No, just sticks with the 2. Gonna have to run on out of there. Beasty might just get some villager kills here with the charge. Looks like he will get at least 2 or maybe even 3 out of this. Just the 2 for now. So both players being able to raid quite nicely. Oh, this is bad for May. He's going to lose a couple more. Definitely a nice pick off. The charge comes on in as well. That's an absolute massacre of villagers. Great work there by Beasty. Going to snipe off a couple of stray spearmen too. Now he can just ride away. The guards will chase him down, but the spearmen can't keep up. Really nice pick off there by Beasty. 3 sacred sites for the Delhi means that their economy is going to be nice for them at least anyway. Overall, pretty neck and neck in terms of villager count. Looking to decap the sacred site there, Beasty, and he will. A couple of spearmen chasing, but he should be able to take care of that. Alright, back at home, double archery range. Bit of a raid here around the wood line, but there are a couple of archers waiting for the Ghazis, of course. Won't be able to achieve too much now, the Ghazis, with those units waiting for him. Looks like the Chevalier will go down here for Beasty. Picked off by 2 Ghazis up in the north. Spearmen. Oh, this is probably not going to be a great change for Beasty. I mean, he takes off 1 Ghazi, to be fair, and he rides away. So he's got the movement speed in his advantage. Oh, Ghazis might pick off a Chevalier if they can body block. Spearmen probably won't be able to chase, or 1 Chevalier kind of trapped there. We'll pick off 1 at least. Down it goes. Both players have a chance now to reset. Interesting enough, it does look like May's thinking about the castle age. At least he's got gold income, right? A lot of that's come down from the sacred site. Well, the 1 Chevalier can't actually take down the villager that's being healed up. Nice play there by May. I wonder if the Delhi now stop making spearmen. If he does go full cavalry units, it could decimate the Knights Templar. Archers do have to back away. This is the thing about the archers, they can never really move out, right? It's a bit different with the spearmen. They're quite comfortable to move out. In any case, looks like Beasty's getting the gold he needs for that castle age. He's aiming for it. At the almost 13-minute mark, Delhi's certainly going to get to the castle age first. Which is nice for them, of course, because the power spike-wise, it's not absolutely huge for the Delhi in many occasions. Like, if you've got a large standing feudal age army, it takes some time for it to be upgraded. The technology is free, but it takes time. But, of course, going for heavily armoured units in the form of man-at-arms or even cavalry yourself, some lancers, could be beneficial here for May. I wouldn't be surprised to see some lancers coming out. He's got the infrastructure for it. He's got the stable. Of course, he's going up against an enemy. He's going cavalry and archers as well, so going lancers could be a good idea. Scholar going to be sniped. Scholar's looking just to, you know, position themselves for the relics. If May can grab most of them, he'll be in a strong position. He's kind of split with his army, right? He's got to think about maybe protecting the berry villagers or protect the relics. Looks like he's focusing on the berry villagers, of course. He can replace the scholars a little bit easier than villagers. It will be the House of Learning for May. Give some access to some interesting upgrades and technologies. But the big deal is that, well, Beasty is far away from the castle age himself. I mean, I think has he just queued up a lot of... Where did his food go? Holy... Oh, okay, there it is. There it is. So he's going to go up with the Angevin Empire. Gives the fortresses an extra 30% health, as well as the docks, but obviously not very relevant on this map. Interesting choice, actually, because with this, it means that he can't go for... I believe it's Genoese crossbowmen on this particular age, which could have been nice up against the elephants that are probably incoming. Instead, he prioritizes the fortress health, which in a way is not a terrible idea. It's probably going to be looking to get plenty of those on the sacred sites if he can. May just securing the food and gold here around the back. Beasty might be thinking about the same here on his side of the map. As the castle age now does come in for May. Let's see what he goes for. Goes for the upgrades first on the stable to get the veterans in the Ghazi raiders. Not surprising, but he is now also queuing up some lancers. It's a smart move. Yeah, it certainly gets the Delhi. You feel like in many civilizations you play against, you want to go for crossbowmen. Because of the incoming heavy units that they get early in the castle age, but also, more importantly, the elephants is often a problem. Instead, Beasty's going to go for the heavy spearmen. Certainly not a choice I was expecting. We shall see how they fare up in this matchup. Managed to pick up 4 relics here, mate. Great work. If the game does go late, that's going to be putting him in a really strong spot. One more relic here. Being guarded by Beasty. I'm sure he'll get it eventually. Just keeping the sacred sites alive here, mate. And he's turtling up, right? I feel like this is going to be a battle of the late game. And I got to say, the Knights Templar don't do the late game essentially terribly. They're pretty good, actually, with some heavy units. Got the Teutonic Order for Teutonic Knights. I mean, I've got to say, though, up against the Delhi late game. The Delhi late game is incredible at times, especially with elephants. And you've got to always thinking about that unit, right, when you're up against them. How do you stop the elephants? So Beasty's going to go for heavy spearmen and archers. I imagine he's going to... Oh, he's going to continue making the archers. Okay. A really curious choice, that, I got to say. Because we are going to see the game devolve into sort of... I say devolve, I probably mean evolve into heavily armoured units, as you can see, man-at-arms and lancers. The archers, they'll do a job, but they won't do the best job. Manages to decap the sacred sites, at least the north and the centre one. A couple of Chevalier will go down for Beasty. I'm not spotting that. The last 5-10 minutes have been very positive for the Delhi. Bear in mind, with any keep that they do go for, they could get village fortresses, which then essentially acts as another town centre for them. He's not gathering any stone for that just yet, though. Wanting to maintain the pressure, he's looking at some palisade walls in the front positions as well. It's actually very good for them. Their infantry units can build those palisades. Just carve up the map, look to protect the sacred sites, giving the Knights Templar even a bigger problem to deal with. The bigger problem is that he's going to have to burn through those palisades, but with archers it'll take a very long time. Can be very difficult to navigate through these walls if you're up against them. Bit of a raid around the south, picks off a villager and be cut off by the archers, but again, this is allowing May to get the map control, right? It's forcing Beasty to stay at home. In the meantime, it's building up all these cheap palisade walls. It's going to deny the gold income from the pilgrims too by doing so. Looks like for now, the Delhi are going to get map control, and that's what this matchup's about. Well, the question is how the farming transition is going on. A couple of farms for the Delhi. The Knights Templar have been doing it slowly from the feudal age, so it should be a bit smoother. So both players quite sufficient and happy to see things to the late game, it seems. Looking to get control of the sacred site in the south. Whereas May goes for the one in the north. Bit of stone being collected. I suspect Beasty's thinking about fortresses. May need to place one, a couple, like at home first, right? It feels like with archers, it's finding it very difficult to move out on the map. So fortress at home will protect the economy, allow him to move out further. But now with the sacred site timer activated, this is a big part of Delhi's potential win condition. He's really put himself in a good spot here. No signs of elephants just yet. Maybe that'll come down on later on the line when the economy is really kicking in. Speaking of which, the wood income for the Delhi looking phenomenal. Not much in the bank for the Knights Templar, I gotta say. There's a second town centre as it happens. Look up to ramp up the economy and pull ahead if he can. He is behind, I'd imagine, for the eco, especially considering the number of relics that the Delhi have had for a long time. Also the 2 sacred sites. As the first fortress is being placed a bit conservatively, as we kind of expected, especially as going 2 town centres, right? Because it invites a bit of pressure. It's going to be about Beasty looking to try and survive to allow the economy to kick in. I've got to say that the timing on the second town centre is a little bit awkward, right? Because the earlier you add your second town centre, of course, the stronger it is. It's a relatively late second town centre, 20 minutes on the clock, and it'd be a super, super late game for that to really kick in. And we do start to see some tower elephants into the mix. Alright, May looking to try and cut off the sacred site down in the south. Now, realistically, that's the only real position that Beasty can take safely for the pilgrims, right? But he's guarding it with army. The lack of gold income from pilgrims is kind of hurting the Knights Templar. Now, the pressure really has eased off since the Castle Age, and the Feudal Age was certainly action-packed. But it's probably what I like to call the calm before the storm, as Beasty does look to secure the sacred site in the south. He has to get control at least one, right? It's a really big deal to keep those pilgrims safe. Bear in mind, the gold veins could be an issue for the Knights Templar as well. There's an 8,000 gold vein behind the walls. This one is going to be challenged by both players, I suspect. Another fortress on this forward gold position. It's going to be really important to keep that. He's going to spot it though. He's going to run over there. Up at the north, sacred site secure. I don't think he quite has enough forces to deal with this though. The Knights Templar have been pumping units. I think Beasty would be happy to take a fight there in the Stealth Forest. May decides against it. Instead, he's going to let him get the fortress up, but then look to take it down very quickly with the rams on the way. Yeah, we can hear some crossbows added into the mix for the Knights Templar. Fully expected, of course, going up against elephants. Got to say though, the mobility possibly is going to be favourable for the Delhi if he does look to continue making some cavalry. Although it looks like there's a heavy switch to elephants. Heavy switch to man-at-arms. 2 elephants? 3 elephants rather. Being sacrificed. It needs a bit of time for those rams to get going, but he's going to lose 2 elephants pretty cheaply, I gotta say, for May. These aren't cheap units. Nice pick off there by Beasty, although a bit of a surround, or at least come back from the backside there for the cavalry. Running into the fortress fire. Not a great fight there for May, really, but he threw away a couple of Ghazi raiders, which are starting to become less relevant, at least for the short term. In the late game, it might be important to get the raids in with those scholars coming up to heal on up. May is just banking on getting these rams up, and then going for one solid push. Okay, looks like Beasty is sending some villagers for the fortress in the south side. There's a lot of scholars to send. But you can see there's quite a few pilgrims on the way. He wants the gold secure, and understandably so, he's going for the fortress. The question is, what does May decide to do? Does he decide to deny the sacred site in the south, or does he go for the main base? Does it kind of make a bit of an interesting focal point? 2 focal points potentially here for both players. Not all that many farms for the Knight Templar though. Does have a couple of deer camp left and a couple of berries of farming transition. Very, very nice there for May and the Delhi. It does mean that as time goes on, there's going to be a bit of a pressure point for the Knights Templar, where they may need a bit of a bigger farming transition once he runs out of the food sources. That means less units. It means a window of opportunity for the Delhi, and that window might be starting now as the man-at-arms are going to be charging on through. Scholars are healing up in abundance. The rams finding it difficult to path towards a fortress, but he's keeping some of these spearmen engaged, right? So these rams may not seem like they're doing a lot, but they are forcing a lot of the heavy spearmen onto them. Allows the man-at-arms and the elephants behind them to do some great work against the army. Healing's coming up on that elephant. He's focus firing it, but that elephant is just staying alive. The fortress not enough to take it down. The scholar's getting so much value. In the end, though, the defender's advantage probably in a very good spot for the Knights Templar. The real question is, can May take out this fortress before having to retreat? Elephant's going to tank and help him get that gold. Villagers repairing to buy some time. There's just a lot of rams here, right? It might not be enough, though, for the Delhi, because you're starting to lose the scholars. There aren't all that many elephants, but still, the number of rams could be critical. 6 of them. I think it goes down. It goes down the fortress. I suspect May will now retreat. I can't imagine he'll stick around here for too much longer. Beasty loses the defensive position, but he has a lot of units remaining, so he's by no means dead, as he secures the south sacred site for extra bit of gold. And also safe passage for the pilgrims. In fact, May, is he going for this? Yeah, he's deciding to head back now with his army. He leaves the rams though. Nice push for the Delhi. Overall, I think it obviously benefits the Delhi. That fight took out a fortress. Of course, stone is a scarce resource on the map. Beasty looking to make another fortress just to secure the passageway. As the Rams eventually will be taken down. But forcing the Rams forward allows May to now replace his army and even go to the Imperial Age. Gonna go with the Palace of the Sultan. Definitely expected that landmark. It's such a strong landmark. You get elephants for free. What's not to like about free elephants? But certainly we've seen the crossbowmen pop out for the Knights Templar. A bit sad not to see the sergeants. I feel like they're a very heavily underrated unit, I gotta say, because they're a weird unit. They don't actually have torch damage, so they can take down buildings incredibly fast. They can take down siege very, very fast from range as well, by the way. In fact, I think it's the only ranged unit that really takes down siege very quickly. And I mean very quickly. I feel like sergeants are a unit that don't necessarily get huge amounts of value early on, but in the late game, they can really come to the fore. But of course, shoulda, woulda, coulda. That's not a unit that Beasty can go for anymore. The Knights Templar, of course, have those difficult choices to make throughout the game. Oh, hello. I think I may have forgot the mill there. That's very awkward. I've got to say, May's been up there with the best of players in terms of the rank ladder. Never really made too many tournament runs because he really does focus on one or two single civilisations. But he has been a thorn in the backside of many pro players in the past. He's proving tricky to defeat here today against Beasty. Looks like Beasty's thinking about the Imperial Age himself. Would make a lot of sense. Saving up the food and gold to do so. Still, takes some time for him to get there. He needs to build the landmark as well. Well, I say build a landmark. Of course, the Knights Templar don't actually build landmarks. Just going to research it from his headquarters. Kind of interested to see which one he goes for. This is a situation that probably favours the Delhi, right? The lack of aggression here means that he can mass up his army, very premium army in the form of the Sultan's elite Tau elephants and mangonels. Be hard to defeat for the Knights Templar. Speaking of which, of course, with 2 new civilizations coming to Age of Empires 4, which is your most favourite? We've seen the House of Lancaster do some crazy cheese strats, eco booming, and even Lancaster Castle drops in the Dark Age. Got the Knights Templar, which seem to be a bit more measured, probably a bit more challenging to play, of course, with the decisions you've got to make in terms of the age ups you want to go for. Let me know in the comment section below which is your most favourite you've played so far. I think the Knights Templar is certainly one for the higher skilled players in terms of maximising their options. Lancaster, a little bit more unidimensional, but I wonder how they may change that civilization in the future. The developers have had some hot fixes already. Had some patches for them. Really quick to change things up. We're fighting with the villagers. We'll take care of the archers in the end. Beasty doing some nice eco damage. I've got to say these run-bys have been pretty useful. But he's still on the castle age. Now the great thing for the Delhi in the late game is population efficiency, right? Elephants, great unit for all that, as well as siege. Alright, Beasty went up to the next stage. He went up with a Teutonic Order. Do we see Teutonic Knights coming out? Where are his barracks then? Oh, he's... okay. He doesn't have many barracks yet, but he's going to get them. They're building. There's indeed one of them. Yeah, he's going to go for some Teutonic Knights. Again, I don't know how I feel about this unit against elephants. I mean, they are incredibly good in terms of HP. They're very slow, though. They're good in melee combat, but again, elephants do a decent amount of work against melee units. The big thing is that actually... the thing about going for melee units versus elephants is that the elephants are slow, right? So when you think about units and counters, it's just a situation where the Teutonic Knights probably can't even keep up with elephants. So it's really awkward, right? It's one of the situations where if you go up against the Delhi, you want to force them into a decision to take a fight or not. You want to catch the elephants out if you can. You can often do that only with ranged units. If the elephants get too close, you fire at them. If they try to retreat and they're not particularly fast, so you get a couple more shots off, maybe pick off an elephant or two. Teutonic Knights, they just have to go brute force, lock horns, and go for the smashing of them, but it's not hard to achieve that if the Delhi just pulls away with his units. I mean, look at the movement speed, 0.9 tiles per second. An elephant is actually faster. It's kind of crazy to think about, right? I mean, well, to be fair, not really. Not if you're thinking about real life situations. Elephants probably could move faster than men, right? Is that a thing? Do elephants move faster than humans? Maybe not if they're sprinting, actually. Probably not. Too heavy. Too big. That's a lot of elephants for me. Could come with a bit of a death push. But a big reason why this game is persisting is because of this sacred site in the south. The fact that the Knights Templar have got it controlled with stone walls now and a fortress. That's going to allow constant trickling of the gold, and thankfully it'll help at least get some gold income in the Imperial Age for the Knights Templar. The Delhi have got it all secured though with the gold from the sacred sites and the relics. The relics in particular, of course. Elephants could siege this down actually. Pretty powerful siege unit. Does 32 base damage, but plus 40 versus buildings. I guess this is another unit as opposed to sergeants that don't get torch damage as such. Heavy spearman bracing, but this is a good fight for May in terms of taking the fortress down. Oh, mangonel shots on the back. Holy moly, lost a lot of units, Beasty there, and a quick fire of those rocks. We'll lose 2 of the mangonels. Another massive shot on the crossbows in the north of this fight. Elephants will be going down significantly though. It's probably, I mean, it's a decent fight on both counts. It feels like Beasty should get the better of it though, especially if these elephants can't retreat, which I think they're kind of caught in the situation now. So, certainly the Teutonic Knights wouldn't have been able to do what these crossbows are doing now, which is absolutely peppering these elephants with arrows. And even if May decides to retreat, the crossbows will chase them down. Got faster movement speed, of course. And they can just kite for a significant period of time. Unfortunately, May wasn't able to break the stronghold of this fortress. Turns out the upgrade, getting them an extra 30% on the health, has really helped him out. Also, fighting with the fortress gives the ranged units an extra armor, as well as improves the range of these crossbows. So it certainly pays off to fight underneath these fortresses for the Knights Templar. As May has now been able to replace his army though very quickly. The bank of resources not quite there for Beasty, so hasn't been able to replace the army as quickly. As the farms are now coming up for Beasty. Interesting, he's going for a fortress in the north, just trying to stop any chance of trade. Oh, very brave elite man-at-arms. Fortunately. Up, another one. Dies on the same spot. See the Teutonic Order flag waving. That's pretty cool, actually. Is that the Teutonic? I think that's the Teutonic flag. Either way, bombards firing off. This is where it becomes tricky for Beasty, right? Because it needs access to gold. This gold vein is incredibly important. He's mined about half of it. See, oh, mangonel shot on the villagers. I think Beasty at this point, yeah, he does garrison. Decides to do so. And he's going to keep him alive for now, but I wonder how much Beasty decides to commit to this, or will he lose this fortress? The big problem now is there's bombards involved, right? This is something that actually the Knights Templar do not get. They don't get gunpowder units. So it's not like he can make bombards for the elephants. Gonna have to just rely on crossbows, really. Looking to get another fortress for the woodlands at least. I think this fortress will go down in the end. The bombards from range doing some really good work. Oh, Beasty taking some shots from the mangonels. He's going to charge on through. Heavy spearmen going to dive on in. Crossbows behind with the mangonel too, but I don't think Beasty quite has enough here. The man-at-arms will go straight for the spearmen if they can. But the Teutonic Knights will tank quite heavily, but it just doesn't feel like there's enough. Mangonel missing the next shot. And the elephants, they're going to trample over that meat shield mass for the Knights Templar. And there is no mass remaining. Meanwhile, these two bombards working hard taking down the fortress, forcing Beasty into repairs. and this is a lost cause, this fortress, right? Beasty doesn't have the units to fight the army back. He doesn't have the economy to replace the army being built, right? This is the big problem that he's got. A lot of it comes down to the fact that, well, you might be wondering, how is May affording all of this? Well, don't forget, these elephants are coming out for free. Maybe not all of them, but certainly a big chunk of them are. Oh, fortress will go up. No catch. Oh, wait. There are some villagers building on the north side of the fortress. May has a really big army here. Farming transition has more or less been completed, so maybe you have a better position to replace the army that he loses now, Beasty, as he now goes for the trebuchets. A lot of them as well. He's going to have to keep them protected. May has other plans other than defending. He's going to be aggressive, and actually this is a bit of a problem for Beasty. If he loses the production building, he's going to have to replace them. It's precious wood being spent for that. Tries to get yet another fortress. Elephants backing away for now. Could be some massive mangonel shots. And the bombards focusing on the fortress. Of course, they take extra damage if they are taking damage whilst building. So Beasty decides to cut his losses, head on back, and the scholars repairing. Or healing, rather. Oh, wait. Trebuchet. Oh, I thought for a second the trebuchet might snipe one of the bombards. Didn't quite manage it. I do fire a secondary volley, by the way, these trebuchets. Obviously not hugely accurate. Got to keep of his own now, mate. This is certainly a big death army for me. I wonder how Beasty decides to deal with this. Oh, mangonel shots. Forces the army back for Beasty, at least temporarily. Feels like late game wise, that's what it's coming down to, right? Who has the stronger late game? And considering he's got 4 relics, he's got the Palace of the Sultan. Feels like the Delhi maybe have an edge here. The big question is, how do you delete this army? How do you conquer this army? As the Knights Templar, I mean, certainly crossbowmen have to be in the mix. But they need a meat shield, and he's going to go for the elite heavy spearman as that meat shield. Not sure they're going to be able to withstand the pressure from the elite man-at-arms, though. The bigger problem for the Knights Templar is because they've been forced into a heavy infantry-based army. It's not like you can raid round the back, right? Often in late-game situations, you can spam out cavalry and just try and raid your enemy to death. Not really a possibility for the Knights Templar, which means he has to lock horns head-on-head. And going up against elephants and mangonel and siege like this is going to be a tough ask, because he's probably going to lose his fortress as well. Not much but Beasty can do about that, I think. Oh, he might snipe a mangonel. These trebuchets. Okay, got one in the end. But yeah, as you can see, the trebuchets don't have great accuracy. As Beasty does look to start up trade. Mate, getting ready to break down the walls. One other concern that Beasty probably has is wood. Some big strong wood lines still remaining for the Delhi. It's going to be a huge fight. Mangonel's deployed, gets a couple of good shots off. Spearman diving on in. Could get some really good work on these elephants. Scholars hitting them, they're hitting each other, not the army. Surely that's not what they want to be doing. They are attracting attacks from the fortresses, and now they get redirected finally to focus on the elephants. So that Beasty is focusing on the elephants. There's so many scholars here healing on up. I don't think there's much of a meat shield remaining. The elephants have taken care of them. Now the crossbows have to back off. Big concern for Beasty now is if he does lose the crossbows, well then next up he's going to be losing the trebuchets. The trebuchets just not really getting much value here. So the elephants backing away for now. Lost quite a few scholars though, the Delhi. Going to want to be replacing those if he can. Wait, are these elephants not doing anything? Hello? It doesn't... Okay. That's awkward. Probably going to lose one more elephant there. Mate. He might just chomp on through. That fortress probably not going to survive too long, actually, as it happens. Down it goes. question is, does May commit? I mean, he kind of has to now, right? With the crossbows there, they'll always be able to chase out the elephants. The big thing you have to think about is when you lose your army, can you replace it? And the answer for May is probably yes, considering how much food and gold he's got. For Beasty, not so much. Not much of a bank of food left remaining. So trebuchets, holy moly, that's a sight to behold. Takes that keep down in a blink of an eye. Oh, okay, we'll talk about raiding, right? How the Knights Templar didn't really have the ability to do that. I'll tell you what does. Oh, that's a lot of villages about to go down for Beasty. These elite Ghazi raiders putting their name to the test, looking to raid heavily. Beasty's got palisade walls, but they won't keep the Ghazi raiders out for too long. Oh, another batch of Ghazi raiders right on top of the crossbows and the trebuchets. Of course, the spearmen will absolutely take care of them, but he's lost a lot of trebuchets, Beasty. That's worthwhile trade for May, no doubt about it. Now he's going for the sacred site in the south. He's going for the fortress. He's going for the safe passage for the pilgrims. A lot of rams being built. It's coming from the production here. And just the mobility switching from one side to the other for May is working out for him. Well, I'm not so sure if he'll get the fortress down in the end, because there are quite a few villagers torching out, but it's become a close one. Either way, a lot of idled mining time for... Oh, these villagers are going to be decimated by the Ghazis. Maybe. I think he commits, right? There's no reason not to. There's a lot of villagers could go down. I mean, sure, the spears will catch up, but... definitely a worthwhile fight for the Ghazi raiders. And he's still getting more damage on the... I think the fortress might go down. Believe it or not. Beasty trying to push through the north. A couple of elephants might meet them. Looks like the fortress will survive, but... not by much. It's going to force Beasty to repair. Spend precious stone on it. Up in the north. Well, Beasty doing some damage, but again, the defender's advantage is going to be here for May, so he should be able to take care of this eventually. Be nice to have a couple of Scots to heal on up if you can with these elephants. Good micro by May though to pull the weak ones back at least. He's got to keep up his own. Yeah, he wants a staging ground to attack with. A trebuchet or two there could be devastating. Mangonels deploy. There's an elephant that's very weak. Beasty should target it if he can. 8 HP. May get it out of there. He won't. The Mangonel takes it in the end. It's unfortunate for May, but he'll get revenge. He'll get the Mangonels himself. Ooh, trebuchet placement in the fortress. That's actually very, very nice. We'll slowly work on this keep that the Delhi have. As we head into the 43rd minute of the game. Where do the Knights Templar go from here? I feel like a lot of this is coming down to population efficiency, and it firmly rests with the Delhi. But Beasty is probably in a position where he hasn't found himself for a long time, actually. It's in the mid-map. He's now gathering as much gold as he possibly can. Still a decent chunk of gold in this gold vein, which if Beasty can get control over, might put him in a decent spot, but overall, these gold vein resources are perishable. As in, they extinguish. They don't stay forever, of course, but the relic income for the Delhi, that certainly stays forever as long as it's inside a mosque. They're starting to make some progress here, though, Beasty, gotta say. I wonder if May's just concealing his army, though, building up. Where is his army? There it is. So raiding around the back. Certainly, wood is possibly going to become a problem for Beasty, especially with the amount of Ghazi raiders around that can raid wood lines. But it's making some really good inroads. It's taking out a lot of production. May does have the production on the left side, though. That can certainly help compensate. It's a good push from Beasty. Taking out some valuable infrastructure. Should maybe get one more elephant here. Oh, the heals coming up. It will go down in the end. The elite spearmen do some great work. Takes out another mangonel. May slowly being pushed back. But he will have the defender's advantage, right? So this isn't a death push as such. Certainly a good one, as he looks to raid with some heavy spearmen around the back, forcing May to push some man-at-arms there as well. Another fortress coming up on the gold vein to protect that central position. Tries to sniper bombard. He'll get it in the end, right? Beasty, yeah, he gets it. That's a big pick off. Looks like this keep will go down as well, unless the villagers come out to torch. May hasn't spotted it just yet though, so really good territorial gain for Beasty. Looks like for the first time the pendulum has almost swung in the favour of the Knights Templar. Still, food reserves a bit low for Beasty. The spearman around the back will be taken care of in the end. Villagers are coming out to torch, but it's a little bit too late. The fortress goes down. Rams will be taken care of. So Beasty decides to add in some more. It's trickling in, but looks like May going to go for a bit of a counter attack on the left side of where Beasty's army is. Still a good push from Beasty though, taking out production buildings. Putting a bit of pressure on the left side as well. Despite having only infantry, he is in multiple areas of the map. Does mean the army split though, so if May can consolidate his army, make one big push, it'd be hard for Beasty to regroup together. Has May lost a bit of steam? It feels like it. The elephants looking to pick off some reinforcements. Up in the north, trying to get a keep to protect. But these rams have been a constant thorn in the backside of May now for quite a bit of time. We'll take care of it eventually with the man-at-arms. Yeah, broken through on the left side as well. May's economy is being idled quite significantly on multiple fronts. Beasty's starting to get onto the map for the wood. He's securing the resources he needs. I've lost count how many fortresses Beasty has made. Certainly quite a few. Okay, the keep will go up, but not without losses. It's still losing some villagers here. But it feels like the steam has run out of this. The train rather has run out of steam. Beasty's military numbers are grouping up together around the front of his base, and maybe got to group up again for a big push. But the push earlier with the Rams has certainly been halted. So May can regroup, recover. Feels like though he's losing quite a lot of elephants cheaply. Certainly, if Beasty can somehow snipe this Palace of Sultan landmark, it's going to be putting a lot of pressure on the resources, on the economy for the Delhi to replace the army. For now, with that Palace of Sultan always online, the Delhi always have a bit of a lifeline. Oh, Rams coming out for May here in the south. Trying to make a bit of a play for the sacred site. Beasty, on the other hand, going north. And we did see some markets earlier for Beasty. No traders just yet, though. Allowing the pilgrims to do their work. Bit of a raid on the farms. Will idle the economy for May a little bit, but it's got plenty of food reserves in the bank. At least for now. It's kind of hard to see who's going to win this, right? It's been pretty back and forth. 50 minutes on the clock. Beasty's starting to get some outposts. Get some vision, but also some falling back locations. Not taking a fight here, though. I'm not so sure about this. There is boiling oil on this keep. There are elephants with scholars, too. A good number of crossbows still remain, though. Hand cannoneers being added into the mix for the Delhi. That'll do well against the Teutonic Knights and the crossbows alike. Now, they do actually have forced march, the Delhi, so could potentially chase that down. Not using it just yet, though, May. Yeah, May does have some keeps in really strong positions. One in the north, one in the centre. Oh, he's actually going to take this. Oh, this is a bit of a mistake for this to be happening for Beasty. He's going to lose the fortress. Of course, stone, a very precious resource on the map. He hasn't got any army here. That's because his army is so immobile. Bit of a raid here with the man-at-arms on the villagers. And May's killed 125 villagers, or at least economy units. That's heavy on the economy just to replace with Beasty anyway. Villagers coming out again to replace the fortress, I think. Where are these villagers off to? They're coming to torch, but, well, nothing protect this location. Well, there it is. GG gets called. I mean, I think Beasty in the end just resigns because it probably feels like he doesn't have enough to go up against the army from May. I mean, how do you go up against the massive elephants, man-at-arms, and scholars? Especially when you've got 4 relics, and now you don't have safe passage for the pilgrims. It was a fascinating game of Age of Empires 4. Let me know what you thought of it in the comment section below. As always, take care, and see you next time.